Everybody ready? You're ready.
You can zoom in on them.
Back in steam days, the transition to diesel, the first diesel locomotives came out with single chime air horns, like the one that we tried to blow Bradley's just now that needs a little work. Or a lot of them came with Leslie controls, which made parts for steam locomotives an A200 single chime, single note horn, like the big one there. They came in all different sizes. They had A125 was smaller. This is an A200. Most of the F units, when they were built by EMD, had a pair of these on the roof up there. And you could really make some noise and reach up and pull both horn cords at the same time. But people didn't like that sound because they were used to the sound of the melodious steam whistles. And so the railroads at that time paid more attention to what the public thought about their image in that sense. And so they went to the trouble of starting to get people to design horns that would work off air but would sound more like a steam locomotive. So we'll start with the A200 first as an example of what the first diesel horns sounded like. Ready? They all sound a little different depending on where they're mounted on the engine and how high they are off the...
Morgan just had an orgasm.
How high they are off the roof of the locomotive and everything. That's pretty close to the height that it was off the engine, so it sounds a lot better when it's loaded to the ground. Good. So anyway, Southern Railway, for example, took to heart the fact that the people didn't like what those horns sounded like, and they took the first Nathan M5s. They took out a full-page ad in the May 25th, 1951 Life magazine. They gave a little about the tube. And you walk and pass this around, it shows them there changing out the glad horns for M5s. About the same time as they M5 We're already hooked to the Hancock air whistle, so we'll go ahead and start with it. It actually came a little later than the M horns. Hancock was a company that made parts for steam locomotives, but they also are famous for their steam whistles. Yeah, the UP-844 has a Hancock steam whistle on there most of the time. If you look at it from the fact, if you look at the chamber here and think of it, facing upwards or this way on the top of the steam locomotive, you can kind of see what they did. They took their basic whistle, which ran on steam, and modified it for air. Now, because it's not as loud on air as it was on steam, they fabricated this reflector to send the sound out in this direction. Now, it worked great for in-plant railroads and railroads that I grew up around, like in New Haven. This was the standard horn on the locomotives. But when you get up to 60 miles an hour, and of course in modern society with radios blaring and everything else, it's very hard to hear. So New Haven used them. Seaboard Coastline had them on their passenger SDP 35s. Chicago, Illinois, Midland. L&N had some on their passenger units. But overall, they just turned out to be not quite loud enough for what everybody needed. Very pretty, very melodious, but not quite loud enough overall. Now this was Southern Railway and the other railroads answer. The M5s were used widely on passenger and freight locomotives. Southern used them on everything they had. Lots of other railroads used them on their passenger locomotives. This is the Nathan M5. You're going to start to notice quite a difference now. There's not been an M5 I know of. There's some still out there on tourist railroads, but there's not been one I know of on regular service since the 1970s. Now, if you didn't want to go all the way with an M5, lots of railroads went like Pennsylvania, put the Nathan M3 as a standard horn on the locomotive. Most of these I have all bells facing forward because they're easy to store and carry that way. I've got the P5 with 2 bells reversed because that's exactly how it was on the Rock Island. But most of these I have all bells forged because it's easy. But you can see here, each railroad could undo the back cap, take the bolts out, and turn any of the horns they wanted to in the opposite direction. In freight service, lots of times you want at least one bell facing to the rear. So if you're switching with a single unit, you do get some sound projected back the other way. Lots of times in passenger service, where the engine was an E unit, F unit that just mainly went forward 99% of the time when they were concerned about the horn being heard, they'd go ahead and put all the bells facing forward. Now the Canadians had to be a little different from everybody, so the Canadian government specified the tones or the notes that their horns had to blow. So this is a standard M3 right here, and what Roy's got put on is an M3H. It's got one bell difference for the blow cord that the Canadian government specified. And their version of the K5H came in both American and Canadian tuning. Now this horn has a local history because when I first saw it, it was on the switcher that sits on the back side of the elevator over there. And I worked out a deal with Avalon Grain and I swapped them for a single note sign because they didn't care. And it took a lot of work to get it rebuilt to this point where it worked because it barely worked at all. So they were happy to get a working horn on there, and I got a Canadian air chime out of the deal for practically nothing. Higher pitch, but that's what they wanted to make sure it was heard over great distances.
Much better echo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, over time, in the original days, most of the railroads had air brake shops, and they're the ones that worked on the horns. And they had plenty of inexpensive labor that every 6 months they'd take these horns off the engine and they clean them and they re-voice them and everything. But over time, as labor became more expensive and Roundhouse started laying people off, they wanted horns that were less labor intensive. As Brian can tell you, the M5 has a bunch of parts inside there that have to go together in just a certain way for it to work. What Nathan did next was come up with the P-Series horn that uses less air. You can actually blow that one off just a little home compressor and very well. With this one, you try it on a home compressor, it's just going to go ah, and that's about it. That's one reason for the elaborate rig that my friend Mark Montre made one for me and one for him. Got, the P5 has about half the number of physical parts in there that the M horn does, and so it was a lot easier to maintenance. The Rock Island, that was their standard horn. In fact, that came off a Rock Island GP7 that probably came past here during its lifetime. But you'll notice the once again, the quite a bit higher than the M6.
Unless he put his earplugs in.
By the end of this.
So be it. It was already done.
Anybody that has fines for recording or their own record or the CD Mr. D's machine, there's a recording on there of Southern Pacific's Coast Starlight with a P5 on there that's just absolutely fabulous.
Standard horn on the ground.
Southern as well. Now Hancock actually eventually faded out of the market. The Hancock air whistles didn't do that well. For the longest time, Nathan Airchime's major competitor was Leslie Controls, and they made free chime, Leslie SL3 and several other models that I don't have. But they also made the Leslie S5T, or actually RS5 right here. The S5T is the one that has little spikes sticking out from the back cap, the newer model. This is the older one. This one came from the junk pile at Cleveland shops when they were clearing everything out. They just, want that, take it, and put it back together. So this one actually came off a Santa Fe passenger F unit. Now, lots of times Santa Fe would either have all 5 forward, or they also reversed 2 of the bells towards the rear. You'll see in a lot of photographs. And it's not that they switched with the F units that much. Just they were trying for different sounds. But I left this one with all 5 bells forward because it's easier to carry around this way. You can still buy a Leslie horn, but it's a lot more difficult. They just don't put them in regular service these days. The EMD is standardized on the K5LAA as the horn they put on the factory for everything, and GE uses the K5HL on their locomotives. And each has distinctive sound over time. As they get with dirt and exhaust and everything, they'll start to change a little bit. Some of them sound exactly like M5s that I've heard, but it's not necessarily by design. They do sound pretty good. Leslie is difficult to find now.
I like this one. My camera battery's dying. I'm getting a little alert when it stopped out tonight.
99%. And I have like 128 gigs worth of mem.
As far as weight goes, try to pick this up versus that, and you'll notice a huge difference. This is the most modern horn in my collection. from having heard the early K5 LAs. I don't have the newer horns in my collection. If I get one at a good deal, I'll pick one up. But you know, I'm more interested in the older horns that I heard during my childhood growing up to make sure they work. This is the K5 LA. The A stands for American or Amtrak, depending on how you look at it. But they were developed for Amtrak and CSX because they wanted a new sound for their locomotives. And here go, after some research, the K5 LA was born. And this is the standard horn on CSX, on older CSX, older Norfolk Southern, and still the standard horn on Amtrak locomotives. This particular one came into town on CSX 2163 when Fort Worth and Western bought it. The crews thought it was too loud, and so I had an instant remedy for that, was to sell them a P3 to put on there, and I got the K5 LA. So that's how you do your dealing, is just to be patient. It wasn't painted this way. I painted it that for Fort Worth and Western. K5 LA.